Here's more wrestling news for July 28th, 2022. And we're kicking off this afternoon with AEW Dynamite, which was the company's Fight for the Fallen special episode last night. On the show, AEW Interim World Champion Jon Moxley defended his championship against Los Ingobernables member Rush, who earned a title match by defeating his brother Dragon Lee at ROH Death Before Dishonor last weekend. Moxley would retain the title in a hard-fought effort, but he wasn't left waiting to learn of his next opponent. Appearing on the ramp with the rest of his society, Chris Jericho challenged Moxley to a match for the AEW Interim World Championship that would take place in 2 weeks at the Quake by the Lake edition of AEW Dynamite. Of course, Jericho was the first AEW World Champion and would lose the title to Moxley at Revolution 2020. Should Jericho win, he would be the second ever two-time AEW World Champion, the second interim AEW World Champion, and would be the one CM Punk will face to unify the two AEW World titles when he's back, but that all hinges on Y2J getting the win in 2 weeks' time. Over to WWE, as the promotion is in Nashville for this Saturday's premium live event Summerslam, but that's not all that's going down in Music City. Yesterday, WWE began with their 3 days of tryouts as the company looks to find talent who they can mold into being the superstars of the future. This is the first tryouts since Triple H was appointed as head of talent relations, but he's not checking out the recruits alone. Former WWE champion Big E is also aiding with the tryouts after being missing from TV for months with a broken neck, and Paul Heyman is also aiding the Cerebral Assassin. WWE has invited both college athletes and independent wrestlers to the tryouts, and we'll have to wait and see who gets that lucrative contract from the biggest promotion in town. The WWE tryouts will see all sorts of athletic people try to earn a contract with the company, including the nephew of an NFL legend. Troy Polamalu became a legend of the game for his time with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and it appears that athleticism and charisma run in the family. Troy's nephew, Talati Polamalu, is currently an offensive lineman for the Georgetown Hoyas, but TMZ reports that he attended day one of the WWE tryouts yesterday. Polamalu spoke about wanting to be a role model for overweight kids and showed a ton of charisma, which will no doubt go down well with WWE's hiring committee. Talati isn't just the nephew of Troy, but is also the nephew of his aunt Serona, who WWE fans will know better by her ring name, Tamina Snuka. Right now, there's no confirmation on whether Talati has earned himself a contract yet, but a lot of things seem to be going his way in his quest to become a WWE superstar. With Vince McMahon gone from WWE, there's been a lot of talk about who will be next to go, and many believe that Kevin Dunn's days are numbered. The longtime WWE director has often been seen as nothing but a Vince McMahon yes man, and with Triple H said to not be a fan of his work, many doubt Dunn will be with WWE in a year's time. Dunn's departure is unlikely to upset too many people behind the scenes, and on his podcast, former WWE writer Freddie Prinze Jr. recalled a time where Dunn denied storylines based purely on aesthetics. It's a very random, low-key era where the numbers weren't great and people missed out on a few wrestlers' peaks like the Beth Phoenixes of the world. Like, she kind of had her peak. It was at a time where Total Divas wasn't a thing yet, so the women didn't get that much love. So if she was going to get any time as a champion, which she should have had a lot of, they're like, well, we gotta pair her with Santino. So then she had like a thing with Santino where they both had a title and Santino would do his comedy stuff, and then she would save him when he would run like a girl. So it was this weird, low-key, under-the-radar time where we were all kind of held hostage by the whims of Vince and Kevin Dunn. Man, one guy who loves wrestling right with all his heart, more than his family, more than his dogs, and then this other guy who I never got the sense liked wrestling at all. You could pitch for 20 minutes, Kevin would be like, I don't think she's pretty, and all of a sudden, like 6 weeks of story was just gone. It's like, well, our champ has to be pretty. It's like, yo, do you think Mankind was pretty? You could throw out a number of how many less than handsome male champions have existed, and I shall exceed it. But it would be dead. It would just be dead because he would say one thing. Kevin Dunn's position in WWE looks to be in serious jeopardy with Vince McMahon retired, and stories like these won't exactly help his chances with the company. There was a time when Brian Cage was routinely featured on AEW programming, but those days are a thing of the past. Cage hasn't had a match for AEW since October of last year, and when his wife ranted about Cage not being used well, it only earned him heat backstage. Speaking during a KNS WrestleFest virtual signing this week, Cage spoke about his hiatus from AEW and claimed that jealous people are trying to sabotage his career. Cage claimed that certain people, who went unnamed, made sure to point out backstage that his wife had tweeted disparaging comments about AEW to hurt his chances, a plan that has seemingly worked. Speaking about his wife's comments, Cage said that it wouldn't have been a big deal if people hadn't brought it to AEW's attention, and that it's hardly a surprise that his wife wants him to do well. Cage is closing in on a year since his last AEW match, where he lost to Ricky Starks on the October 6, 2021 Rampage, and while he did compete on the ROH Death Before Dishonor pre-show, his future as an all-elite competitor remains unclear. Brian Cage shows no sign of returning, but one person who is finally back is Luther. Appearing during the latest Dark tapings before Dynamite, Luther was excited to be back, hugging Serpentico ahead of his match with Cole Carter. Unfortunately for Serpentico, Luther's return wasn't enough to keep the former Troy 2 Dimes Donovan from winning, but it's great to see Luther back in AEW. Now, Happy Corbin has been with WWE since 2012 and over the last decade has undergone several transformations. From the Lone Wolf to the King of the Ring to being down on his luck and now happy again, Corbin has had a whirlwind career which isn't ending anytime soon. Sitting down with Rick Ucchino, Corbin spoke about his career and revealed plans for after he hangs up his boots. I want to have another 5 or 10 years here in WWE, but eventually, like all athletes at some point, our body doesn't keep up with our minds anymore. Then I definitely want to get into that food world, whether it's Food Network or it's my own YouTube stuff or, my buddy Aaron, Food Network's TV chef Aaron May, does a lot of stuff where he's a guest, where he's a celebrity-sponsored cook. Corbin has a plan for retirement, but that doesn't mean it's coming anytime soon. But at some point, the former US champion will be putting down his steel chair and picking up a spatula. More from AEW as Jungle Boy had an appearance during this week's Fight for the Fallen special edition of Dynamite and had some choice words for Christian Cage. The former WWE World Heavyweight Champion has made things very personal with Jungle Boy, bringing up the latter's deceased father Luke Perry, and Jungle Boy is rightly furious. Interviewed this week by Tony Schiavone, Jungle Boy didn't mince his words, calling Cage the biggest pussy he's ever met in his life. The profanity wasn't censored on the broadcast, and we wonder if Tony Khan will get a call from Standards and Practices after this week's Fight for the Fallen Dynamite. More from Vince McMahon's retirement now, as the former CEO of WWE has relinquished all roles with the company due to the claims about misconduct with female employees. After 40 years on top of WWE's throne, these are truly unprecedented times for everyone involved and could cause a serious shakeup behind the scenes. That's how Booker T sees it, as on his Hall of Fame podcast, the 5-time WCW World Champion said how some stars could be in for a rude awakening with McMahon gone. Booker said that a lot of people will have a comfort zone working with McMahon and have spent years knowing that they can get decades of wisdom from the now ex-chairman of the board. While Stephanie McMahon and Nick Khan are now CEOs and Triple H is running creative, none of them have the same level of experience as Vince McMahon himself. Whether superstars like it or not, McMahon is gone and unlikely to ever return, and those who found comfort working under the eye of the former chairman will now just have to make do in this new era of wrestling. One of the final names to be hired in the Vince era was Logan Paul, who brings a considerable amount of star power to WWE. This Saturday, Paul will have his first singles match when he takes on The Miz at SummerSlam, but he could be in for a rude awakening. Speaking on Raw Talk, Jerry the King Lawler addressed Paul's SummerSlam match and said that all his influence on social media won't mean a thing when he gets in the ring. He's all about the spotlight, let me tell you something. Logan Paul, I've always said this being real super popular on social media is about like being rich at Monopoly. Big deal. When you get in the ring, in a WWE ring, it's going to be a whole different world. Paul is so far undefeated in WWE, having won his tag match with The Miz against the Mysterios at WrestleMania 38, but it'll be interesting to see how the YouTuber turned superstar handles wrestling when he doesn't have a partner. On July 31st, one day after SummerSlam, Ric Flair will compete in his final ever match, teaming with Andrade El Idolo to face Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal. This will be a historic night for Flair, and one that many stars of wrestling are expected to attend in person. With Vince McMahon now retired, it's possible that he may be present for the Nature Boys' final ever match. And speaking on his To Be the Man podcast, Rick says he hopes that happens. I'm trying to get Vince to come to Nashville now. I want him to roast me. He certainly has in real life enough. "Hey, these heels don't draw, you stupid son of a bitch. Don't ever bring a lawyer to see me. I don't like lawyers. Who are these two jack-offs?" Prior to Flair's last match, there will be a roast of the Nature Boy in which Legends of Wrestling will share stories from Rick's career, and we're certain that McMahon will have plenty of those. There has been some concern from those in WWE about McMahon's retirement, as it's said he doesn't have any hobbies or interests outside of wrestling, but fans may not have to wait long to see the now retired former CEO. Flair will team with Andrade El Idolo for his final ever match, who isn't just his son-in-law, but also an AEW wrestler. Jay Lethal, one of Flair's opponents, is also with AEW, and the entire card will have an all-elite feel, despite Tony Khan's initial reservations. Speaking to Insight, Flair said that he and Conrad Thompson had planned on including AEW talent, but that Khan was initially hesitant, saying that it all became a little political with the owner of AEW and Ring of Honor. Thankfully, cooler heads prevailed and the show has a stacked card, but only after Tony Khan had to be won over and approve his talent being involved in what will be a historic night in the industry. And we're ending with WWE, as last month it was announced that a partnership with G4 has led to a new game show titled Arena, and now we have a sneak peek at the latest episode. In the sneak peek, we can see NFL and WWE collide in the arena, as Los Angeles Rams' Leonard Floyd teamed up with Seth Rollins to take on the Los Angeles Chargers' Austin Eckler, partnered with Becky Lynch. The show is hosted by WWE superstar Xavier Woods and G4 host Gina Darling, as both sides hope to win over fans with their mix of wrestling and pop culture. Well guys, that's our news for today. Please share your comments below. Also hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon to receive all notifications. And as always, thanks for watching.